and welcome to a very quick turnaround episode of Command Value 1. Salute was just a couple of days ago. The big announcement is out, and it is Trolls in Space. Don, tell us about the Trolls in Space.
Trolls in Space. So Resistance Fleet. What would you like to know?
In space.
Did I hear turtles?
Yeah, no turtles.
No giant space turtles.
Although Overlord Shivak's turtle picture was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
For the reveal picture.
Hey, we've got Patrik joining us tonight to talk about Adepticon, his narrative campaign, his conquest of the Adepticon tournaments, and of course, we're going to talk about the big reveal, which, as Don said, was the Resistance Fleet. I'm already done talking about it. It's Resistance. I mean, 4/5 of the player base doesn't care. But Don, I know you care. Let's have it. Tell us everything you can tell us about Resistance Fleet without getting us in trouble.
Okay, we'll do my best. So obviously we saw that it's going to be plastic sprues, so that's good. Keeping inconsistency with the other factions. The sprues will be cruiser and frigate sprues. Building 1 cruiser per sprue and 4 frigates per sprue. So that's all in par with everything that's out there right now. However, though, we've gone a modular design. Or I should say Dave has designed a modular design. I won't take any credit for it because I had nothing to do with it. Basically giving up to thousands of combinations of different ship types. So all your shipbuilder and bits guys out there are going to really, really enjoy this kit. And I also
all
see
you power gamers are going to piss people off at the table because they won't know what your ships can do.
Well, the good thing is that at least design-wise, the weapons are pretty commonplace. Even the ships look a little different. You can look at the weapons and kind of see what it is. So it won't be as difficult, especially at first people will be a little confused, especially when they're adjusting the fleet. But I mean, that's kind of every fleet. I still can't tell some of the Sheltar and PHR fleet types apart. So
that's racist, Don.
You all look the same to me, okay?
I commented on the community early on that since it's a Resistance Fleet, I assume that they're going to have the best accuracy and best armor, even though they have the oldest technology in the game.
Isn't it the old ways are the best ways? So anyway, and then to go along with the whole modular design for the ships, we'll have a build-a-ship mechanic built into it. I'm not going to go into the specifics of how that'll work, but there would be some flexibility in the list building that would be pretty cool. Did you just yawn on me?
Dude, I was muted. I did not yawn on you at all.
Somebody yawned on me.
I might have had a spawn coming into the room.
I
didn't.
I totally yawned.
Oh, come on, Jordan. You're supposed to back me up. Oh, my Resistance brother.
Even the Resistance players like, oh, balls.
No, I think it's wore out from fighting the remnants of a cold the past
Oh, he was fighting
couple of
the
days.
remnant? What?
Wow.
What?
I see what you did there.
So,
You like that? You're not the only one to make puns here, asshole.
I'm just totally surprised it wasn't even that much of a yawn that it came through.
It was very
I will
disturbing.
be
Okay.
monitoring that situation.
Okay, moving forward here, so after the shipbuilding mechanic, we will have, outside of the sprues, it'll be all resin for the rest of the ship types, which is on par with everything else. So no real surprises as far as that goes. We are not going to be talking about stats or weapon types just yet, so unfortunately you guys will have to hold on as far as that goes. However, we did also talk about there being 2 sub-factions. So we have the Callium Cabal and the Vega Scrap Fleet. So the Vega Scrap Fleet would be the remnants of the... actually, why don't I let one of our post-Human Republic
The
abandon
Vega
us?
Scrap Fleet is just the sad, poor bastards that got left behind.
After you abandoners.
They were so close to achieving enlightenment, and they got left behind.
So, obviously, these guys got pretty good thrashing during that whole issue right there, right before the scourge showed up.
And I look forward to giving it to them again.
So anyways,
better guns now, bitches.
Yeah. It's been 2 centuries, according to the fluff here, of them just wandering aimlessly, unimaginable hardships, trials, and challenges.
They haven't forgot that ass kicking for 2 centuries, and that was with janky ships.
But it is noted here as a functioning fleet of pre-war ships larger than any other known. So that's the scale is appropriate to having their own fleet, which is good. Since they've been sort of getting scrap parts from scrap yards and things like that they've found over the years.
They have larger ships than everybody else?
I think they were talking about quantity, not scale.
Oh, I thought they were compensating.
No,
that resistance have been compensating ever since.
So yeah, it would appear as though they've not forgiven the abandonment and consider themselves an independent entity beyond colonial authority. So diplomacy has been a little struggling for the UCM to try and soothe things over, especially since not only were they in the fight for Vega, but then they were also like, see ya, and everybody else left. So that brings us to Callium Gabal, who actually has had access to shipyards and dockyards and things like that. However, their tech is going to be behind the times. But this would kind of explain why that there's going to be a different ground version of resistance for the Callium side and why it's going to be more military-esque. So the Calliums, they're very sinister. If there was a feral side to this fleet, the Callium is that, except for, as far as I know, they're not cannibals. They're just very authoritarian. Think, USSR.
Fascist.
You're right. Exactly.
No, they are clearly Firefly Reavers.
Yeah.
Very, yeah. I think they've been building up to looking for a good fight and wanting to get out there and blow stuff up. So they don't want to be. We'll see how the alignment goes as far as their allies and things like that. But they do not want to be governed by anybody. So it could potentially come down to them turning on anybody and everybody.
Don't tread on me.
Yeah, right. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the storyline evolves with Callium. How they're going to try and prove themselves, and at what point where they decide that allies are not going to be at their benefit anymore, and these types of things. So, but if you saw the pictures for the fleets too, you can see the Callium is paint wise, anyways, is more uniformed. Whereas the scrap fleet, they look like they've been kind of patched together a bit, for as much as you can patch huge spaceships together. Not going to slap a Band-Aid on any part of a spaceship and expect it to work. So
say that to the Apollo 13 crew.
Stand corrected.
I just want you to know I stayed muted, so when I yawned, it didn't come through.
Yeah, thank you. So the recap is who knows to what degree Vega, Scrap Fleet, and Callium are going to play in their new roles within the upcoming battle for Earth.
But if we at least speculate a little bit here and look at what we have seen with the Centurion and what you read with the fluff behind that, we see that you have with the Centurion, you have some big guns, mass drivers, and you can see that you have some sort of broadsides on that ship at least, which speaks to something both PHR and UCM, which they talk about in this fluff.
Right. It definitely looks like both sides kind of chose their chosen weapon of choice there and went whole hog on that end.
Isn't that Centurion supposed to be refitted though by like UCM and PHR?
Yeah, essentially. That will be playable in the Resistance fleet. So if you have your Centurions, even though we are discontinuing the actual model, it will be playable, and then there will be like a regular version of that as well in the.
Will those be unplayable in UCM and PHR then?
No, I mean the rules will still always be there. It's just we won't be producing that model anymore.
Gotcha.
So you're saying that my Centurions, all 6 of them, will be valuable in a year or so?
Maybe if somebody wants to sculpt, then they might be looking to get it. So
Who the hell has 6 Centurions, Patrick?
Might have won them at a tournament or 2.
Yeah, they've been kind of in the giving bag for all my tournaments in the last year or so.
So, I mean, you'll be able to buy a resistance cruiser sprue if you want to build the Centurion post.
I doubt the Centurion will just be a regular cruiser. It'll probably be...
No. I mean, if you can build the rules for it.
I mean, there will be a way. Yeah, there will be a way to play
that
ship. Exactly. Yeah.
So, since you'll be able to create a different version of that ship for the new fleet, you'll be also be able to build that same ship and use it as the old Centurion for the PHR and the UCM.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I see what you're saying. So, yeah, even though that sculpt will be gone, whatever the standard version for it, you could then sort of substitute in if you wanted.
Right.
That would imply I would be buying resistance models, and that's not going to happen.
But that opens up some interesting possibilities if there will be a option to sub in more of the ships from that fleet into UCM and PHR.
Maybe what will be awesome about those sprues is that they will make fantastic scouts grade.
Large debris fields, you say?
Yes, new debris fields hitting my table.
That means you would have to buy some, right?
Yeah.
No, I'll wait till you guys build your fleets, and then I'll take your scraps.
Yeah, just organize one of these buy and build sessions, and then you just pick up the sprues that are left.
Right. So, one of us.
You'll get to toying around, and then all of a sudden, oh man, I have a fleet all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, I talk crap about it, but it is pretty exciting to see a new fleet hitting the market, and I know Resistance players are at least excited. So,
I'm just waiting for someone on the internet to try to decipher the pictures of the plastic sprues we have seen posted to see exactly what can be built from them.
There was a couple of decent pics, but not like super up close ones. Yeah.
So they're gonna zoom in and crop and edit out the pieces from the sprues and kind of just
Some people want to get into those things.
Yeah.
I mean, if the community figured out how to get a picture from a WAV file,
that wasn't very impressive.
Yeah, I was gonna say bravo to the community for deciphering those.
Round of applause for everybody out there that were able to get out there and decipher all those messages. That was pretty cool to see everybody working through it. I have to say, and it got the pages going for a couple of days. That's for sure. So, and then really good video put together by the guys in the office as well. So, I thought that was a pretty cool way to go about doing a teaser. A bit unique than just ship on a turnstile or something like that. So,
you're a ship on a turnstile.
So the other thing I want to point out for the sprue design, in combination with the the space station design, is that for all those people out there that have spaceship rules, but there's no specific models for that, are going to really love this stuff. Or anybody that has like an RPG of that spaceship game or any of that stuff, they're going to be able to put together so many different combinations of things with these two sprue types. And even though they aren't meant to go together, I mean, it wouldn't put. It's plastic. You're going to be able to plastic glue these things. So I can see some ships out there with some extra bits on them, and it's going to be really cool to see what people come up with for these things. So definitely all the modelers out there are going to be hopefully sinking their teeth into these kits. But Yep. So I guess that's the big news then. So I mean, we don't really that a whole new fleet. Obviously, we can't get into the details of it just yet, but I think that people are going to really enjoy this fleet. Over play testing, we've definitely gone through many different variants of how we're going to do this design and how we're going to make these things work. And at first, I was a little apprehensive of whether or not I would even play it, which is a lot for me to say considering I love Resistance on Drop Zone. But I definitely like the way the outcome is going forward with these ships. So hope everybody else is going to be excited when they see the stats and everything too.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in a couple. Oh, wait. No, we got more, don't we?
We got to do the gloat portion of our podcast now.
There's a gloat portion?
So with us is our resident Swedish conqueror here who took first place in every aspect of our... Well, I shouldn't say that because you didn't take first in your own event, but...
The Swedish chef himself.
I feel like a winner. The people had fun.
There you go.
Chef Leopard.
Admiral Bork. So first in fleet.
Yes.
First in zone.
Yes.
First in our hearts.
Yeah. That's what matters.
And then for those who are not U.S. friends of ours, the way I do most of the tournaments in the U.S., or at least that we've been pushing forward anyways, is to encourage people to play both events. We also do an overall winner of both tournaments. So your tournament score carries over from whatever tournament was first, gets added to the second one, and there's an overall winner between both as well.
So don't keep us in suspense. I mean, he got first in zone and first in fleet. How did he do? How did he do for the overall score?
Came in second. It was really weird.
Yeah. So that would be 3 gold medals walking home with on Patrick's neck.
Yep.
And if you're in the Drop Zone community, you saw a freakish picture of him wearing all 3 medallions.
So why don't you? Well, first off, let's talk about your event, since people want to hear about that more so, and then you can talk about how you. I shouldn't say you didn't really clobber anybody to win. It was definitely close games.
Yeah. No, it's. I'll go through the games real quickly here, but let's talk about the narrative first. So for this Adepticon, I prepared a narrative scenario for 10 players to play, where we had 2,000 points of fleets on each from each player coming together over 3 different tables, 2 4x8s and 1 4x4, where we had some shenanigans connecting these tables together. And of course, it's a big challenge coming into a big games like this, since try to have 6 hours and try to make 10,000 points on each side. Have fun and manage to go through a couple of turns or a complete game. It's a bit of a challenge, but I think that we managed it and people seem to have fun. In the end, we actually had 10,000 points PHR on one side versus a coalition of Scourge, UCM, and Shaltari. So all PHR players out there feel proud. PHR ended up winning the whole event by 1 point.
Damn right it did.
If I remember correctly, it actually ended up with 55 to 54 points.
Nice.
A really close game that ended up being decided by just the critical location around the central moon on one of the tables, where we had to calculate the points.
I respect the Republic players' ability to let the other fleets feel like they were in it at the
end. No, it was a very impressive sight when you saw this on both of the 4x8s. You had 4,000 points on each side, directed by 4 players, coming together. It was a very impressive sight when you see all of these cruisers and waves of frigates and battleships. I think the UCM players had something like 5 battleships on one side coming up there, and some dreadnoughts.
It makes it pretty cool to see, because obviously when playing Drop Fleet, it's a very small snippet of what's going on in that fleet battle.
Exactly.
So when you stretch it out to something that large, you can kind of get somewhat of an idea of the scale. Because even with all those tables put together, that was still only like a small portion of what a fleet battle would be.
Yeah, so I had expected the big tables where they had the room to maneuver to be aggressively doing max thrusting up, but they were a little bit cautious chess type games, while in the middle table where I expected them to be more cautious, they max thrusted up at each other from turn 1, more or less meeting turn 2 with 2,000 points on each side. So on that table it was explosions from turn 2 while the other guys were doing it a little bit more cautious.
So you said it's a narrative event. What was the story?
So the story behind it, I will not reveal everything because we'll be running this scenario again at Gen Con. But in general, it is a isolated system that has suddenly been activated, and none of the major powers feel responsible for it, but they feel that they need to be there to investigate what's happening in here. And while the people are starting to investigate the system, some strange things are happening with some abandoned shipyards and some scraps of leftover mining operations that are over a planet. And also abandoned stations out in the asteroid fields.
And then Vega Scrap Fleet comes out of nowhere and starts kicking everybody's ass.
Exactly.
Vega Scrap Fleet shows up out of nowhere and gets
obliterated. Yeah, I had 10 sprues of resistance fleets ready to be assembled, but someone told me I wasn't allowed yet. So maybe for YenCon.
I'd like to know how you got those sprues, because I don't have any.
He's better friends with people in the UK than you are.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's some black market shit there.
Yeah, how hard can it be? No, it's but it was also a learning experience for me as well. It took more time to get everyone in places and being set up, and as the fleet started to clash with each other, the turns started to take quite a long time. So for the next event, I'll be making some changes to make the action happen a little bit faster, to promote a little bit more early action, and try to get everything in place a little bit more quickly. But I think I was happy with how it turned out, but there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. This is not one of those things you can really test, because how you can get that many people with that many ships. But
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful sight, I will say that, though.
Yep.
Then we walked by it a couple of times, like, man, that's a lot of models.
Yeah. No, it's just that part of it. It's sort of it's impressive, and looking at it from the sideline when you see when people start moving up with 8,000 points of fleet on a table, suddenly it's an impressive sight.
Did you get some good walkers by looking at it?
Yeah, several.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had to step out and give them a little rundown of the scenario and tell them what they were seeing. And a lot of people were very interested in doing things like that themselves.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's nice because it gives people an idea. So even if they aren't interested in drop fleet per se, they can be like, well, those are some sweet ships. That's a cool idea. We could do that and just not play the rule set,
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's great. And then, like Patrick said, we're going to be doing this at Gen Con as well. So if you didn't get a chance, or if you enjoyed it and wanted to play a little bit of a different role or a different fleet, perhaps a resistance fleet, we'll see if it's out by then.
Yeah.
And it's nice because it's an event you don't have to lose a Patrik in.
Well,
so this is definitely something I've been enjoying doing for the last couple of years. So the first year I did it as the combined fleet and zone straight out of the book, just to see how people enjoy doing a more narrative event, especially like on a Thursday night. So you grab people's attention maybe 4 hours and that kind of thing. And then obviously Cameron and Fox did an excellent job last year with their combined event as well, really expanding greatly on what I had done, since I didn't even write any of my own stuff. And then, of course, thanks to Patrik this year for stepping up and doing a really unique fleet event. So
Yeah, it was really fun, and the community in general that come out to these events and the tournaments are wonderful to play with. So I can't complain.
Well,
They
cool.
are the stars of the show.
Yes, thanks to all of our players over in the U.S. We've got a really good community going right now, and hopefully we can start branching and closing these gaps in between the communities that are out there once these books are out there, or a book, I should say.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you won everything.
So going, should we start with Zone?
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah, go at it. So for Zone, I came into the tournament switching up my list completely before going in, because I was feeling I had brought a very similar Shaltar list for a couple of tournaments before, done really well, but didn't feel like I want to change things up. So a week before that, I started painting up some new walkers. I decided to do a brick of Shaltari walkers with a Dream Snare, so 2 Jaguars, and the new commander, the Puma, and the Dream Snare behind them. I hadn't played that before and didn't even get any test games in before it, but I knew approximately how it should be playing. And it was a lot of fun. I think all my opponents were all very frustrated trying to shoot at commanders and walkers with 4+, 3+ passive saves. And
you brought a Puma. Did you bring Jaguars? You said
Yes, 1 Puma, 2 Jaguars, 1 Panther, and 1 Dream Snare. So I had 5 heavy walkers.
That is how you play Shaltari, right there.
Yeah, it was really fun. I can recommend it for anyone that wants to frustrate their opponent at least.
I've loved the Jaguar sculpts forever, and
yeah,
it's cool to see them on the table.
Yeah, they are awesome, and in the right situations they are really good as well. They have their limitations, but using them well, you can get a lot of mileage out of them.
Did you use any of the alternative Scorpion?
So what I have is that I have the Puma. I have is a converted Scorpion with a head with a headband, the Sonic head dress, what it's called, the thing on its head at least, the Sonic cannon. That one I made from Scourge sprues from Fleet.
Okay.
So it looks very different from the rest of the walkers, which are standard Jaguars.
Okay.
So the commander looks quite imposing with that sculpt instead.
Yeah, and now technically you should be using the Ramses model, but
yeah.
I guess I'll let that go.
Yeah, no, I think that alternative sculpt suits that commander quite well, because it's a little bit bigger model, a little bit more imposing.
Yeah. I just like the Ramses crest that he has. It's really cool. I love that model.
I did convert my Coyote to a Scorpion Coyote, though. That's a cool sculpt.
Yeah,
and it really differentiates it from the other heavy walkers too.
Yeah. And I like being able to do a little bit like that. Otherwise, a lot of the Zone doesn't let you do that much conversion work, but these small things really make good change. And I can tell you that I had 3 very good games versus Resistance, versus Shaltari in a mirror match, and then ended it all with a match against Rasmus and his PHR. And I think that the Resistance game was probably the least close one. I had the fortune to be able to take out his Leviathan and Thunderstorm quite early in the game, and could park my brick on top of the critical location in the center, which spelled quite a good. I think I lost 1 Jaguar and something else a little bit smaller, perhaps a Standard Braves or something like that, overall in that game. So coming in... Yep.
Not a whole lot of kills there.
No. And that was probably the name of the game for my whole tournament, because the second game I had a mirror match with a guy that had created more or less the same list that I had created independently from me, with a brick and some infantry on top of that, and some smaller ships around, smaller vehicles around it. So we ended up just trading a little bit of shots, but mostly just hiding from each other and letting the infantry duke it out in the central table, where I had the fortune to let him move into a forest first. Then the Dream Snare let loose with 24 shots shooting into the forest, practicing some deforestation.
And that's how the Dream Snare gets nerfed.
Yes.
That was changed quite quickly after.
Yeah. Yeah. I was looking at stats. I was like, so we have forests in all our missions here. So these 24 shots all damage the forest on 4+. Well, thank you. I'll go with that. So that I think that was in the end gave me the win in that game. Was that we fought about a central location with a objective. He went in with the infantry first. I deforested the forest, and then went in with my infantry to mop up the scraps and take the objective and run away.
Okay.
And then we have in the last game we have the feared Tiamat that started the game by coming onto the board in a threatening central location, and I countered by walking up my Panther, doing 3 damage points on it turn 2, and then it spent 4 turns hiding behind the building.
Yeah,
Panther
would be scary, man.
Yeah. So I think Rasmus was a little bit taken aback from that. So he played a really good game. In the end, I managed to win it by the skin of my teeth by fooling him into taking a reaction shot on my fast movers with his phoboses that were guarding the backfield from my infantry. So I could, by sacrificing my fast movers to his reaction shots, I could move in with my infantry gathering the intels on his side of the board, while I still could protect my own side.
He only had 17 phobos. How'd you get him on a reaction fire?
It's not that
hard. He does not like his phobos, doesn't he?
Yeah. I think he had 5. I had 5 in this game.
I thought he said he had 6, but yeah. He played Don once with 7, I think. It's 7. Like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah. We need to talk about that 2+ accuracy on the phobos.
Oh, it's changed.
Oh yeah, we're always nerfing the Republic, Don. I see how it is.
Yeah, but I would say that I had an awesome time and had great opponents and other great players around me. Had a good time. Rasmus and I have faced each other at a couple of tournaments on different levels, and he's always a pleasure to play against. I managed to get into his head by starting to talk Swedish to him during the game. So he looked confused and didn't understand what the hell I was talking about, and suddenly I was ahead. And for the viewers, he is Danish. Yeah,
that's dirty. That's dirty pool, man.
For all you Swedes out there, I managed to beat the Dane.
Cool, man. Yeah, let's hear about Fleet then.
Yeah, so going into Fleet, I had also one of these situations where I felt I had to take a different kind of list. I've been hearing about people complaining about the platinum battleship, that the diamond is everything that's valuable with the Shaltari fleet. So I took the platinum instead, the supercarrier. And then I had to show people that the Impel is really fun and really useful. So sure. I took 3 Impel light cruisers and some drop on top of that, and my trusted Mercury I'd never leave home without. And coming into the tournament, I didn't expect to do that good this tournament because I was feeling more like having fun with it. My main goal of the tournament was try to make a dreadnought crash into a moon. That was my main goal. I did not achieve that, so in the end, I feel like a loser.
It's good to have goals, though.
But I had 3.
Yeah, you got a nice consolation prize at least.
Yeah, exactly. So I had 3 games here against Scourge, against UCM, and then a mirror match against Shaltari in the final game. I had against Scourge, I managed to I played against Aaron, and he's a really good player and a really good sport. He's always fun to play against. He's got a special kind of humor. We all feel sorry for his father and how he got hurt by turtles. That's at least the story he told.
That's an inside joke.
But
should we provide some context?
I was going to say I have no idea what the hell you guys are talking about.
No, you had to have been there. It was kind of one of those. It's not that funny if you explain it otherwise.
Yeah. He'll know what we are talking about. Down with the turtles. But he brought the Scourge with a Dreadnought and 2 Banshees, which are a really good ship now, with the changes to the torpedoes that we've seen in the errata, and some other drop on top of that. So the main focus for me was to try to stay alive, take out his Dreadnought, hopefully push it back and turn it around, and then try to win on points, which I managed to do. I had the Impel ships had a really good showing this game, where they first managed to turn around his destroyers coming up, and then went ahead and turned around his Dreadnought. So I gleefully could sing my little song and walk around and turn it around for him. In the end,
there's so many songs you could be singing too. It's, you got Spin Me Right Round.
Yeah.
Do a little Total Eclipse of the Heart if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Turn the ship around.
The ship around.
Yeah, what, round and round by round.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope he had as fun as I had, but it was a great game. I managed to wipe out his...
What I'm gathering from both of your lists is like you sat down and you went, how can I be the biggest dick at this tournament?
Still have fun with it. I think most of my opponents, if not all of them at least, have fun playing me, so I didn't get too many complaints afterwards.
Did anyone take your dice?
Yeah, that's actually what Rob did in my second game. A couple of turns in, he actually asked if he could use my die instead, because his die were letting him down majorly. Because second game I faced UCM, and it all started a little bit weird because I had read the mission beforehand, and I was thinking, oh, okay, I understand this mission. It's not exactly what I thought it was, but I understand it. You can only score for critical locations unless you choose race. So I'll choose race and I'll have fun with it. I only had 2 turquoises to bombard, but I thought I could do something with the things in the air.
Did you misread?
No. It was a copy-paste error in the tournament pack.
Oh.
So by the mid-end of turn 2, Josh came by and said, oh, by the way, you can score by having controlling the ground sectors as well, by the way. And by that time, I hadn't even come on board with my void gates, keeping them in reserve. I didn't have anything to drop. And Rob was a big sport. He was telling me, say, hey, if you feel like it, we can reset the game. I didn't take him up on it. I said, no, I'll just play along. It's a good chance for me to try to stretch my tactical muscles if I can do something about this. Which was really fun in the end.
I was concerned because the one thing I learned from the Cleveland Clash was the Swedish path to victory is step 1, read. Step 2, win.
Yeah. So I had to add another step there, which was reevaluate. So, but he had a really scary activation group of 5 new Kairos in the same group. He had designed the group to more or less one-shot the dreadnoughts if you could get the line of sight on them. And he used those 5 new Kairos to all shoot at my admiral in the platinum. And he managed to score, I think it was 3 damage points first time all 5 shot at it. And then he managed to score 2 or 3 more after that.
Oh, man.
And the big thing was, of course, I had opals close by, and I had my shields up. Then I ran away with it and hid in debris fields. And I think that was in the end the thing that managed to win me the game, because he was so focused on trying to kill my admiral that had all of these buffs and debuffs with the dense debris fields and everything. That he did not kill my turquoises, which could live until turn 6. They were destroying one sector each turn, which scored me the points in the end.
Yeah, a rare mistake from Rob as well. I'm surprised he didn't take that opportunity, you know.
Yeah, he tried. Well, I had taken out a couple of the new Kairos when he actually started to fire on them, and by then I still had all my opals still left there and the shields up, so even if he did the 12 damage points, I saved it down to 2-3 damage points by just average rolling, but that's opals for you.
Stupid opals.
Yeah, and I had a battle group with 2 turquoises and 2 opals together, which was a really nice battle group in these scenarios.
Did you play it right though, where you needed the 2 opals to get the 1 save, right?
Yeah, for my battleship, yes, but not for the turquoises. Those are
all right, yeah.
Yes, 9 hull points.
Yep. Okay, just making sure you didn't cheat, Patrick.
Yep. Keep me honest.
Yeah, I can see people forgetting that because that rule is technically in the Dreadnought area. So
he doesn't need to cheat; his dice do it for him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Rob. Like I said, Rob actually took my half my die halfway through the game because his new Kyro were missing in an extraordinary amount.
That's one thing that. It's one thing that really bothered me about the burn through stuff and why I was so like hell bent on making the mass drivers better, is because you get those games where you can just plow through things very easily, and then you get those games where your dice are not good and the burn throughs just fizzle so quickly.
Yeah.
Patrick, I'm curious, when you take your dice back to Sweden, do they roll like shit there?
Yeah, of course. It's the other side of the... No, wait.
Magnetic poles are differently aligned.
Right? I'm trying to figure out, science or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Different side of the equator. They spin down the toilet the opposite way.
Exactly. Right. Well, in the last game, I managed to beat Sam Mostow. I think his name is that at least. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's playing Shaltari, and he had been playing the Plutonium Dreadnought. I think in his previous game, his Plutonium had single-handedly killed, 1,000 kill points from the fleet he was facing, something like that. So my main goal for that game was to make sure that Plutonium did not get to fire a single worthwhile shot, at least not weapons free. Since it was a distant approach, it came on turn 3 on his side of the board. I came on with my impulse ships on my side of the board and turn it right around. You can hear me sing as I walk around the table to his side, turn it around on YouTube if you want to. The Skull channel has it.
Did his jaw drop on that?
I'm just getting that sound bite so we can use it as a bumper on the show.
And of course, his comment after that is precious, because he at that point Josh was walking around with a bottle of whiskey, and off camera he asks him, "So do you want a whiskey?" And he turns around to Josh and tells in the microphone, "Of course I want the whiskey. He has turned around my dreadnought." But he was a really good sport. By turn 4, we had managed to blow up 3 of the stations, and I had the lead in points. So he could not catch up to me. So we just had some fun the last few turns, drinking a few beers, drinking some whiskey, and playing Chase the Dreadnought.
Chase the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
So there you go, everybody. If you want to know how to deal with dreadnoughts,
turn them around.
You just make them ineffectual. Don't try to blow them up.
Yeah. But I think I had really fun games, and I had a good time all around. Good sports, playing against good players. And I hope they had fun as well.
Yes. Everybody that I talked to was playing. They all said they had a great time, so that was good. Even the people who seemed a bit new. But one thing we pointed out last week was the amount of new people that were in the fleet tournament, or both tournaments really, this year.
Yeah, we had some drop-offs from the Omaha guys. None of those guys could make it out to the Adepticon this year. That's they are like 6 players, something like that, who usually come to the tournaments.
Yeah.
And instead there were new players coming up, people I never faced before. Real nice guys, good players.
People who you spiritually broke and will never face again.
Yeah, I saw that Shaltari player that faced in drop zone, he sold his army after this.
Yeah, I asked him about it. He just said it wasn't his game. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
fair enough point.
Yeah.
Fair enough point. So it was a shame though, because he had a really good looking Shaltari army too, and had he actually finished all of his paint job, he would have won the best painted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was. I definitely enjoyed seeing the new faces, and like you said, if a handful of our regulars had made it out, we would have had probably close to record numbers this year.
Yep.
Because I know those guys would have, if they had signed up, they would have actually played. I don't know if it's like the same thing in the UK or not. Maybe people can comment, but are drops a normal thing over in Europe, in the UK? Because every Adepticon we get X amount of signups, and we're guaranteed to lose like 3-4 players.
I had last year for Origins, I had I think 8 sign up, and I had 4 show up.
So yeah, it's just a weird thing to spend the money on, and
then not go.
Yeah, or at least not change your ticket anyway. So, but yeah, so congratulations to Patrik. He won everything.
Oh, thank you.
But no, congrats, dude. It's definitely well fought. So why don't you, since you were on the player side of things, why don't you talk through the new tournament system?
Yeah, so one of the big changes for the tournament system is that you have changed so that you don't have these massive leaps of players coming from behind managing to jump across the board. I have managed to beat people in several of the tournaments in game 2, where they then move back the field and manage to score really big and leapfrog ahead of me when I have been playing some really good tight last game. And with the new system, you don't have that problem anymore, since you both have a better distribution of points, I believe. I think the maximum points for losing game will be 7 points, while the maximum points for winning the game would be 13. So it's a better spread.
Right. And that's including the bonus kill points.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have the final table. I know that some people did not like it, that you had a direct match game between the first and second place before the final round. So you have a placing match between those two guys. I liked it, but I can see how people playing the second table feels like they should be able to at least compete about the second place.
Right, yeah. So in the way that the scores ended up, it's basically self-regulating as it is, so it wasn't something we necessarily needed in the long run. So I don't think it's going to really matter too much. So at this point, we're definitely dropping top table, first and second place. It's a matter of whether or not we want to keep the winner of the top table be auto first place.
Yeah, I think that is probably needed to keep that as at least the winner be.
The issue is if you have at least 9 people, you could end up with, because it doesn't take that large of a tournament where you could have 3 undefeated people after 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And if the top table draws and the other guy that was undefeated wins, you end up having someone finishing third with the best record in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer it comes down to wins first.
Yeah, and I would agree that if the top table is a draw, then you should be
at a draw there's obviously no winner at that point then, so then it would go to scores.
But
I'm saying if there is a winner of top table, then it's a matter of whether or not we want to have that person retained first, regardless of score. Although technically it should mathematically show up in their favor anyways.
Yeah, and I don't think we had any of that issues in these cases. I think I was a couple of points ahead of the second place in any case. It's a matter that in all of the, I think in the zone, or in the fleet tournament at least, you had the issue that the second place guy actually had a few points less than the third place guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest comment was that they were worried that if, let's say you were playing top table and it was a guaranteed person second and you were losing, at that point you guys just kind of stop playing, and you know you've taken second, and where's the fight left in it, and that kind of stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, this is one thing that I think we're really good at doing right now, is at least on our end, is taking community feedback for the things that I'm implementing, and then actually listening to what people are saying. So,
and I don't think it's a big problem either when you look at it with the new point spread. I think it regulates itself pretty good.
Yeah. So it was just a matter of like, because I was trying to take ideas from other tournaments that I've played in before, like what I thought worked out of those, what seemed fair, and I think we definitely honed it into a pretty good place, and I think the next tournament pack people will enjoy these tournaments a lot more, knowing that their record will be more beneficial to them, and then some people won't because they're used to getting maybe one of those easy off 20-point wins, you know, at some point during the tournament and jumping up. So
yeah. And the second thing I think worth mentioning is that this was the second tournament with the new errata in play.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, where we had fine-tuned it, especially with regards to bombardment and torpedoes, and some of the special rules surrounding them. The Scourge battleships also had some big changes.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it was pretty close to the Cleveland Clash errata.
Yeah, and the only change we took from that anybody had any problem with was the light torpedoes. Otherwise, they were pretty spot on. Everybody seemed to enjoy the changes. The variety of ships out there were certainly different than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, it was you saw some of the more traditional lists, and you saw some really different lists. I know Kirill came with a 6 Havana list full of light torpedoes, and had some interesting scenarios using those.
Mm-hmm. And even though we are kind of taking away what he thought would be the bread and butter of that list, 6 Havanas are still going to be pretty scared of light torpedoes. So.
Yeah.
Just not all, let's nuke a bunch of sectors.
Yeah, there'd be less scoring help and more destroying help, which in the new tournament system is beneficial anyways, because you're gaining bonus tournament points by killing things. So
yeah. And I was bringing the Platinum, which is one of these ships no one ever uses, but I must say I was really impressed how that performed. I did not feel that I was missing my diamond. I was instead glad that I had this ship with me.
How many opponents were like, wait a minute, you're launching stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think had a little bit of explanation to get to everyone before the games to explain to them what I was actually bringing.
What is this ship you speak of that launches for ships?
What are you doing now? But it was real nice to see. And I think we had me with the Battleship Platinum first place, and then you had the 2 lists with Dreadnoughts, Shaltar Dreadnought in second place, and Scourge Dreadnought third place, which showed that those lists are competitive as well.
Yeah, so we had both competitive lists with and without Dreads, I would say. And we were at about 50-50 on the Dreads.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So last place, Gene had a Dread, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had last place with Dread, second place with Dread. So, it varied out. It wasn't, obviously we were trying to, I wouldn't say prove our point or anything like that, but obviously you can take a non-Dread list and still be very competitive in this game. So
it's
usually they're at a good spot.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think I usually tell people that ask me how they can be a better player, and I say that just start with creating a list with something in mind, where you think about what your tactics will be. There are very few ships that are actually bad. If you, they are more like ships that you misuse. because they're not doing what they are intended to do.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember his name, if his name was Donald, but there was one of these guys which came, one of the new players that came with a really funny UCM list. I think he had 6 San Franciscos and 4 Moscows and not much else. I didn't get the chance to play against him, but it looked really fun.
Yeah, so he didn't fare too well, and obviously you can only go so astray from what you needed to be competitive. But it was, I mean, not everybody needs to be competitive, you know. I mean, half the time I make a list, I might as well be throwing darts at it. So
that's the difference between us, Don.
Yep. I take a list that I have no idea what I'm doing with, and then try to make it work. And I'm like, why did I bring that chip?
Yeah. I know that afterwards now Rasmus has been talking about his Andromeda Swarm making a comeback for the next tournament. So people should be aware.
That thing was hell to play against.
Yeah.
How many did he have? It was like
11
Andromeda. I could not. Dude, it was just too many to handle.
I think he'll dial that back the next time he uses it, but I would not be surprised if he only dials it back to like 10.
Yeah.
I mean, that is kind of his shtick.
Yeah, good old Rasmussen and his
9 Phobos.
Min-max list.
Yeah, it's amazing because he showed up at Origins last year for Drop Zone with, and this was before Flame was fixed, with what, was it 4 or 6 Menschits?
6 Menschits, yeah.
In a Poseidon, and he just dropped them on stuff and cooked it. It's like, what the hell? Who does this?
No one expects the Inquisition.
It's fun though. I love players like that who bring a list to a tournament that, even if it isn't the most competitive, like having to like relearn how to deal with these units and
what's
the bulk of them.
What's hilarious about it is he defies logic by saying, I'm going to spam this unit, which you probably shouldn't spam in the first place, and he's still successful with it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But we had another player like that in the zone game, and he didn't fare nearly as well as I kind of had hoped, but he had 4 Enyos in his command brick for a PHR. So, and maybe there's too many for us, but when there was an actual building to blow up, he could level a building in an activation.
Oh, yeah.
Was that the orange PHR?
Yeah.
Yeah. A really nice paint job on those.
Oh, yeah, those are really pretty.
He didn't have enough infantry in his list. I mean, it was light even for a light PHR list, which is kind of hard to spread as some of the other factions. But
Yeah,
I think 4 squads is pretty much as low as you can go with PHR.
Yeah,
that was Corey, right?
That was Corey.
Yeah, he's doing some really excellent terrain posts today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is.
So
well, guys.
Yeah,
and he was a really nice guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're creeping up on our hour here. Is there anything else we want to get to?
I think that was it. We covered Patrik, which you knew we weren't going to be able to squeeze in last week, and then we did talked about the new goodies, of course. So I think that about covers what we wanted to do. So another quick turnaround one here, and then as we release new things, we'll get more episodes out there, so we might see some more quick turnarounds.
Yeah, we'll take a couple weeks off, but we have a play day coming up this Saturday.
Yep.
So, Jordan, are you going to make it up?
I'm going to try.
So we all 4 may be there. Anyone want to try out an Origins mission?
Sure.
Woo!
I will bring my chess clock.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Me and Patrick are trying out the chess clock. So
we're looking about 10 players. It looks like right now. So
yeah, I think
a nice little turnout.
The Midwest group are certainly antsy to get a game day in, and they're showing it.
I think
it's been a while since we've done one.
I think it was the lure of the champion.
It was funny. Greg actually made a comment. He's over in Fort Wayne, and you made the comment about getting to play you. And he's like, that actually might be worth the trip in itself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Are you gonna wear your medals down?
Of course. I expect to get a free coffee of it.
Oh man, I'm gonna go find the Rocky soundtrack. So when you walk in, I can play it for you. Or maybe it should be right round. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, what you saying, Patrick?
Nah, I must just explode from my ego here.
So, well, guys, let's put a wrap on this one, and we'll get it up, and hopefully we'll hear more about the Vegas fleet and the Cabal fleets, and maybe ground units sooner than later. Don, are there any other reveals that you know of coming up anytime soon?
I do not have the release schedule for our reveals, so I cannot comment on when things will be shown. I mean, they're going to be pretty consistent, though, because we are leading up to the end of our editing of the book, so hopefully that will mean more reveals as we go along here.
Cool.
Also, you know what? I actually forgot to mention that we had some really cool new show-only stuff for Carnivale that we were debuting at Adepticon weekend and during Salute as well. So if you haven't seen those, go to our website. Really cool scenario pieces. One was like a giant dragon snake serpent monster thing on a big pedestal, and then there was a one of the gondolas being smashed by a giant squid or something like that. So just some cool stuff like that I thought were really cool and worth mentioning. And then also my faction, when I get to playing around, the Doctors got their third box on pre-order right now.
You got books on the mind, Don.
Yeah, I know. I got books on the mind. Damn book out. But anyways, the third, I think second expansion box, but third full fleet, or not fleet, but I don't know, we're calling them
gang
crew boxes, gang box,
gang
box.
Yeah.
And he's pretty cool. He's more of a psychological guy. Reminds me of Metal Gear Solid. The
Psycho Mantis.
Yeah, Psycho Mantis. Kind of makes me think of him.
So you have to switch controller port to beat him.
Yes.
You also had the show only Rumble Slam Carnivale crossover box. Too,
we did,
right?
yeah. So the Masked Mayhem coming over from Carnivale and showing up on the Rumble Slam ring. So that's pretty cool.
I don't care about a crossover until I get some Shaltari Braves and Pungari.
That would be amazing to get some Pungari in the ring.
Or, even some Shaltari outside of the power armor.
So
Yeah.
Rebel Pungari confirmed?
Sure. What would that be? They're all short. So who would be the shortest?
They are the leaders of the Cabal.
So, just wanted to briefly mention that. And also, new announcement we showed is our partnership with Corvus Belli.
Corvus Belli. Yeah, that's surprising.
Doing some really cool Infinity terrain. If you haven't seen that, go to our website as well. Go to the community page. You get to see the full table that we've put together for it.
After I bought that whole industrial hive for my Infinity table.
Well, this is completely different stuff, though. This is more sci-fi city stuff. One thing that really popped out to me was all the cool acrylic that we added to it.
Yeah.
So there was just tons of this green glowy acrylic on there that would just look really cool on the table.
Yeah. Hey, do you know what the retail is for that bundle? For the Infinity War bundle?
Not yet. Because we were just doing
Those
show deals or whatever it was during Salute weekend, so I don't know what the full retail price is.
Those bundles tend to be show only bundles anyway, right?
You're a show only bundle.
I think we were just showing off the initial range that we're putting out for it, so I think those will be.
Oh, have I misspoken? Is there not a bundle officially?
I don't really know how we're gonna. It will definitely be separate pieces, and then that was a table deal they did for Salute.
Okay.
Yeah, so that exact table deal, I don't know in what capacity that will be available. As far as if we're gonna do the whole table again, or a smaller
'Cause
version of it, because
I'm
that
still
looked like,
looking for a reason to buy a military orders army. So
yeah, it looked to be a little bit more heavy than what our white box deals would be. I don't think they would get quite that much in a white box, but anyways, yeah. So that was pretty cool, and then might have some more announcements coming up soon as far as the terrain side of things. So keep your ears posted to the community page.
all right, are you done? Can we wrap this
I'm
up?
done. I'm done bragging about all our cool stuff now.
Quick
Yeah,
plug
do you have
for a
any
future
final
tournament.
Oh, let's do Skies tournament.
Yeah.
On May 11th over in what's this area that he's in?
Urbana.
Yeah, Urbana,
Champaign.
Illinois. Urbana, Champaign, Illinois. Over on there's a college over there that he's just off of.
The University of Illinois.
There you go, one of those.
The Illini?
Yes, the Fighting Illini.
Hey, Jordan, real quick, what's an Illini?
It is a Native American tribe.
Nice.
Oh.
I didn't know that. Thanks for your knowledge, Jordan.
It's college football. Jordan is what he's talking about.
Anyway, so May 11th for that. He's looking to do a. Did he get a hold of you, Patrick?
Yes, he's gotten hold of me.
Okay, cool. Because I told him to get a hold of you. It seemed pretty similar to what you were doing. So anyway, he wants to do a node scenario for Fleet for the Fleet tournament. So if anybody in the Midwest area wants to do a cool narrative tournament on May 11th, check out the community page. He's already posted it there. And then get all the information from that. So
Quick, Jordan, a node pun. Time's up. Anything else, guys?
no, I think that was it. Yep.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to soapbox. No, I'm not. I have nothing to soapbox about. I'm spent. Jordan, you got anything?
No, I'm pretty wore out. So
All right. Patrick, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight and brag about winning all of your stuff again.
Yeah, I feel feel the humility.
Right.
Thank you guys for having me, and thanks everyone at Adepticon. It was a pleasure meeting you guys. I hope I will meet you again.
It is always a pleasure when we can get you on here. Don, thanks for sharing with us what we can about the new Resistance fleet that maybe 20% of people actually care about.
Oh, I'd also like to tease that talking with Dave this morning, he's eager to get back on the podcast soon. So look for a Dave appearance here once we get a little bit more concrete information on things for him to talk about.
Dave and I can talk more about Iron Maiden. It'll be delightful.
You'll enjoy it.
and how Long Reacher never getting strafe.
You know, it's funny. Dan Adams at Paint All the Minis was messaging me this weekend. He was at Salute and he saw Dave, and he said, "I mentioned you by name." I said, "Oh yeah, do you remember who I was?" He's like, "Yeah, you remembered you." Oh, good.
Or at least he acted
He pretended
like
to remember me. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, "Yeah." He's just like, "Yeah, oh yeah, I know. Bad American, got it. Yeah, none of that."
All right, guys. All right, we'll see everybody soon then.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.